Ramadan is coming, and for a lot of people and a lot of families, that's great. You're kind of close together, you're sharing a spiritual connection to God. But for a lot of ex-Muslims, that's really the hardest time of the year. You know, you're constantly bombarded with religion, you're forced to go to Taraweeh prayers at night, you know, you're hungry, you're dehydrated, you're hangry. And also, like, I mean, all of this is why I find a lot of ex-Muslims come out by accident to their families about being ex-Muslim on Ramadan, because it's like there's so much going on and you're kind of going crazy, and you know, you're writing on the subreddit r/ex-Muslim, and which you see a lot if you go there at this time of the year. So I've not done a video for a long time. I've had some personal stuff, but things are good now, and so this video is my like bestest tips that I can give you on how to survive this 2018 Ramadan. The first thing that I would say is the most important one for me. It's called squirreling up. Squirreling up is when you kind of get food and you kind of hide it like a squirrel. For me, there's one food that rises above the rest. It is like the Zamzam for ex-Muslims. It is, of course, protein bars. So protein bars are built to give you like a strong kind of nutritional content. It's great for making sure you get protein into you if you're into fitness. And they're also reasonably cheap and easy to hide. So what I would do is go to the shops and buy like a bunch of protein bars. Try not to put them in one stack. Try not to put any food in one stack, because what happens is if you've got stored kind of stacks of food, you're a bit bait. Your parents will find it, it'll be a bit obvious. So what you want to do is kind of leave it in different places, in like your bottom drawer, in your rucksack, things like that. And that way you can kind of get away with it, because it's like, well, it was just there anyways, and you become the protein guy, whatever it is. The other thing, this applies to all food, and this thing hurts turtles just as much as it hurts ex-Muslims. So every year, millions of turtles get in trouble because they are hurt by trash. And if you're an ex-Muslim and you're throwing trash and not disposing of it properly, 1, the turtles will die, 2, you'll get caught by your mother. So what you want to do is make sure that you have left no evidence that you've been eating. The way to do this is, 1, when you get, let's say, the protein bars in, take all the packets off, right? And then put them into little containers, maybe in one container if you want to do it that way. But try to get rid of the trash as much as possible early on. But even then, you know, when you do have trash, just always try to remember it, because you will get caught, and it's kind of obvious that you've been eating in the day if you've got trash there. Water. Now, obviously, water is important, and everyone knows this, and you're probably going to have a bottle of water in your room. But obviously, you can also drink water from your bathroom tap if you are in one of those countries. If you're not, you might want to get one of those kind of jugs that have a filter on it. You can kind of buy them so that they are actually a bottle of water with a little carbon filter on top. They don't cost very much. You can use that to put tap water inside and drink it straight out. They actually exist particularly in developing countries. So if your country does not have drinking tap water, you can buy one of these. They're quite cheap, and use that instead. The third thing is, if you are someone that likes to keep fit, use Ramadan as an excuse to kind of keep that up. Now, yes, it might be hard to get yourself the kind of food and nutrition that you need, but you can put that outside. So you can have kind of containers outside your house. You can have that in your gym, things like that, when you are trying to get fit. The other thing you can do also is use Ramadan to become a healthy form of fasting. Instead of that kind of very unhealthy, no drinking, no food in the middle of the day, and then you stack up in iftar time. Instead, what you do is you do drink water, and you can do what's called intermittent fasting. That is actually good for you, and there are subreddits online. If you go on our intermittent fasting, these things are good for you as long as it's done healthily, which Ramadan unfortunately is not. But if you do it like that, then you can actually get out of the month something that's good for your body, good for your mind, and leave without feeling that kind of anger because you're being forced into something. Instead, you're owning it, right? What if you get caught? I mean, sure, these lists of things that I've given you are great, but you might get caught, and a lot of people get caught. Well, I've come up with some excuses, 3 of them, that are actually quite good. They can work. The first one is specifically if you're a woman. Now, everyone knows that ex-Muslim women will get periods at the beginning, at the end of Ramadan, in order to kind of get away with it. But there's a problem, because you can't always plan that. And what if your period takes longer? And I've heard people say that. But actually, I have done a lot of research about this, and I've got them up with a fantastic excuse. what you do is you talk about spotting. So women will know this, that you can have your period, but actually you can spot before or after it. And your periods can kind of go into 2 weeks sometimes. And what you can do is spot in the beginning of Ramadan and spot at the end of Ramadan. So you essentially have 2 weeks of fasting. The other thing is how much food you get and how much water you get affects your periods quite a lot. So actually it's not crazy that this would happen. So that's a pretty good excuse, I think. If you get caught and you're stuffed and you don't have a solution and an answer to why your period is taking so long, that's a good solution. And you might say, Imtiaz, I have done all you have said and I've been too successful. I am I'm eating nothing in iftar time because I've eaten and drank throughout the day, and my mum or my dad has noticed that. What do I do? And I will say it is very easy. I would look at your parents and I would say, mother or father, mother, it is in the hadith that you are supposed to fill your stomach a third air, a third water, and a third food. And then something about keeping with the sunnah. And you might have like one day and say, I'm going to Maghrib. But that's a good excuse. I've never used it, but the third excuse, actual excuse, works for both men and women. It is the splitting headache. Now, food and water changes can really affect your head anyways, that's true. And it's not impossible that young Imran, who starts getting headaches one Ramadan and then just keeps on getting them every Ramadan and it becomes a thing, at some point your family will just give up. So I'm just going to say it's an option for you to say, you're getting these headaches, migraines, whatever they're called. If your parents take you to the doctor's probably going to go, yeah, fasting and not having water and food for 10 plus hours is probably not good for that. So that's one way you can get out of it if you really hate Ramadan and if you really hate the kind of fasting that most Muslims do, which is straight up no water and no food for 30 days. Now this last one, it's quite simple, but I think it's only for the most woke ex-Muslims. It's for the ex-Muslims that know the importance and value of survival. You see, some of us, when you don't have food around you and you just got to get by day, you start looking around and you start thinking, what looks like protein? You look so scared. I'm kidding. Don't eat Huraira. She's like, no, I'm not halal. Yes, you are. You're a carnivore, but you're a carnivore that probably doesn't eat any meat because her pet food is quite cheap, so it's probably like broccoli. Anyway, so that is my tips for Ramadan. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me through the ex-Muslim subreddit. My username is Improvaganza, or you can follow me on Facebook or something like that. I don't make any money off these videos. They're all kind of unlisted or whatever they're called, demonetized. So I'm doing this kind of to help you guys out. So do try to help each other out as well. Ramadan is very hard. Go on the subreddit and comment on people when they're suffering and explain how you kind of feel like you want to be there for them, and it helps people feel less alone. So anyways, enjoy your Ramadan. Hopefully your Eid is fun, and catch you guys later. Bye bye.